You've lived a life dominated by doubt and fear. How do you step into bravery? Step. That's how you step into bravery. Step. Take the step. Step aggressively towards your fear. And that step towards your fear is the step into bravery. Because we're scared of what we don't know. And there is only one way to learn and to know, and that is to confront that fear. You have to step, you have to go. And this simple action, this simple attitude, it answers so many questions. So many questions. How do you get to the gym every day? You step. You go. How do you change your diet? You step. You go. How do you overcome fear of failure or fear of success or fear of fear itself? You step. And how do you face the fear of the unknown? You step. Don't wait anymore. Don't think anymore. Don't plan anymore. Don't contemplate anymore. Don't make any more excuses or justifications. Don't rationalize anything else. No, no, and no. Instead, be aggressive. Take action now. And what is the first action that you need to take? What's the first step you need to take? The first step you need to take is just that. Step.
I think everybody has fear all wrong. People have so many theories about fear. They talk about, oh, well, I'm afraid of success. No, I'm afraid of failure. I'm afraid of intimacy. I'm afraid of heights. I'm afraid of this. I'm afraid of that. I'm afraid of the other thing. There's actually only two fears. Only two. And if you're in sales, which you are, or even if you're not, life is about persuading people. Life is about influencing people. And fear is the invisible force that will make you ineffective at that. It will stop you. Now, I love J.K. Rowling as an example. I mean, we all know the Harry Potter series, but what a lot of people don't know about her, she talks a lot about fear. She struggled with major depression. Do you know she was unemployed and she wrote the original idea for Harry Potter on a napkin while she was on state benefits? She was then rejected by 12 publishing houses. And this, by the way, was after she was divorced, bankrupt, and a single mom of a kid. Pushed herself, pushed herself, pushed herself. She talks a lot about fear and about failure. Well, we know the moral of the story. She just kept going. Of course she was afraid. But she had the good kind of fear, not the bad kind of fear.
That just shows you again so much for it can't be done. This is why I try to tell you, anything and everything can be done if you can visualize it and if you believe in yourself. It was the same thing again when I ran for governor. You can imagine when I went on the Tonight Show and I announced that I'm going to run for governor of the great state of California. People came to me afterwards and said, "You're crazy. You don't announce something like this on the Tonight Show. You have an official press conference at the state capitol. Plus, you don't start with governorship, you start first with mayor or with state senator." And I said, I don't want to be senator, I don't want to be mayor, I want to be governor. Don't you understand that? Well, the rest is history. I won in 2003 and I won also in 2006. And let me tell you, you're going to find the naysayers in every turn that you make. Don't listen. Just visualize your goal, know exactly where you want to go. Trust yourself. Get out there and work like hell and break some of the rules and never, ever be afraid of failure.
Well, I'm always trying to outdo myself. So I pose the question for everyone else. What now with you? I know what I'm doing. I know the direction I'm going in, but I love to inspire and to motivate. So That question should be a question that everybody gets after school, after work, after any and everything you do. What now? And it's just big. It's just so simple, but yet so complex. I don't think people really put a full understanding into the meaning of the answer to what now. It should just be ongoing. So my career is ongoing, just like the question of what now.
I know everybody's looking for, hey, when did your life change? Look, it changes every day. So, and then you got to add change on top of that. How are you going to get to Mars, right? Well, you're going to build a ship. You're going to probably blow up the first 2 or 3 of them. And then you're going to stay focused on the task, get people around you that don't make excuses, get rid of people that do. And then you're going to be like, hey, we're going to Mars, dude, no matter what it takes, what it costs. And you got to keep feeding the dream, you know? And so that's what I've done, dude. I like from 8 years old, like 7, 8 years old, I've just been feeding the beast. And when I quit feeding the beast of my dreams and fantasies, when I quit giving them energy, what happened was I started feeding other demons. And my life went downhill. So by the time I'm 25, I'm broke, I'm wrecked, I'm spiritually bankrupt, I'm physically bankrupt, I hate myself. But I didn't quit, you know, Jared, I just had to start rebuilding from zero.
When the things most matter, you so desperately don't want to destroy it for being scared that you can really destroy it.
Sure.
When I hosted the Oscars, I was like, wow, man, this is 1 billion people. And I just thought, okay, whatever you do, just remember, you're a kid from Moorooga in Sydney, you're hosting the Oscars, have some fun, you know? And luckily for me, those turning points, I've somehow always stuck to that idea of just having fun.
You know, at a certain point you wake up and you're like, I've done a lot of stuff in my life, but what do I want to do? Like, what movies do I want to make? What television shows do I want to put into the world? Because it's a lot of work.
It's so much.
And I feel like I've done all that other work. I did a lot of stuff for a lot of other people.
Yep.
Now I want to put something in it that is more representative of who I am as a person.
The word business, it becomes the business, but what you're doing is you're painting a picture. You're trying to you're trying to create something to make a difference to other people's lives. You have a blank canvas, and you're filling in every little bit of that canvas to get every single little detail right. And if that canvas, sings out at you at the end, and it's a beautiful picture, your business is going to be successful. If bits of the canvas are not quite right, your business may fail. So if you set out to change people's lives, you've got to get every single little detail right. You've got to make sure that the people that you're working with 100% believe in what you're trying to do, and you've got to make sure that what you're trying to do is worthwhile spending your time on. And at the end of the day, you want to be sure that the people's lives you've affected, you've really you've affected them and benefited them. And if you get all that right, hopefully you'll be able to pay the bills at the end of the year.
Most people don't have a compelling vision for their own future. They don't. They move through life setting goals. And goals have no power. We're at this point, goals had power in 1959 when Earl Nightingale came with this idea of goal setting, and everyone's like, wow, I'm a goal-oriented person. And that was great. And it worked for like 20 years. Everyone set goals and they got results. But then all of a sudden, you set goals, and sometimes you hit them, sometimes you don't. Most times you don't. Okay, that's okay. But goals almost became a synonym for like, oh, I'm going to set a goal, and who gives a shit what really happens afterwards. And it almost is synonymous with failure now, goal setting. There's something above, and I believe in setting goals, but there's got to be something above your goals, and that's your vision for the future. And it's not just about, it doesn't have like an ending point. It's about the world being a certain way. And that's inspiring to you. When you truly have a vision for your future that inspires you, you're going to jump up out of bed in the morning and feel great about going at life versus being miserable and going to a job you hate or living a life that doesn't empower you and just, every day moving through just almost like an automaton, not really, having the zest and the greatness of life. And I'm guilty. I've been there myself when I felt like I didn't really have a compelling vision for my own future, and I felt like I was wallowing. But at least I'm conscious of that. Once you become conscious of that, you can consciously create a vision for your future. It doesn't happen in 1 minute or an hour. You write it down, you work on it when you finally hit on it. You know how you know you got it? When you read it back to yourself, your vision statement, and it moves you and you feel inspired. okay? And so few people have that, and what happens is every human being is thirsty for a vision. Everyone is. And so few people have one, so what do? They gravitate towards someone who has a vision for the future because they want to be a part of a vision. Part of being a great entrepreneur is having that vision, being able to create the vision and then sell that vision to other people, to get them to want to be inspired, to buy into it, to put in their time, their hard work, their elbow grease to help you achieve your vision. If you're a smart entrepreneur, then you spread the wealth around, and it's a win-win for everybody.
You can be asking for assignments that are above your level. So there's work that you do at your level, and then there's work that you do above your level. And the only way that you're going to be promoted to do work above your level is A, if you can demonstrate that you're capable of doing the work at your level, and B, if you are proactive in seeking out opportunities that expand your capability and give you a chance to work above the level that you're at. Nothing's going to happen unless you take that initial action. Nothing's going to happen, nothing's going to change unless you put down that pen in the meeting and you sit up and you pay attention and you listen for your opportunity to speak. Nothing's going to happen unless you push yourself to go in and make the ask for that assignment that scares you to death.
I think the biggest obstacle to success is a lack of optimism. That question in itself is the problem, my friend, right? You're looking at two things that are both negatives, and guess what? Both of them are obstacles. When I started WineLibrary.com transformation from my business, I had time. I worked my face off every minute, but we didn't have a whole lot of money in our profit center, so it took more time, right? It's just the way it is. Today, I have more money, but boy, don't I have time. But neither, ever will be an excuse for me. And so, just to drill this through the throat of the Vayner Nation, that's right, I went that graphic. Don't smile, D-Rock. Here's the bottom line. I refuse to allow you to get an answer to that question because both of them are firmly square in the excuse column, and I have no patience for that. There will always be problems. Let's talk about a million other things that are a way to stop success. The health and well-being of your family members, so it takes your mind away from execution. The country you live in's government and political, concepts at these moments, a la startups in China that I've invested in that got traction, but then people that were wired into the government decided to not allow it to happen, and then the startup disappeared. Not as easy to be an entrepreneur there. It's still a communist country. Sorry, it just is. And so all these things can be problems, right? There's a competitor with $1 billion who's also skilled and punches you in the mouth and knocks you out in the first round, right? The world changing. I mean, there's just a million obstacles, right? The media, one bad coverage of you, a moment in time. You know what I think about a lot? Let's get really real. This is why we did this show. I'm a human being. And I always think about a moment in time. What if I just say the wrong thing at the wrong time, right? What if I call out China for being a communist country in an episode while I'm on a rant and somebody who's watching doesn't like the way that tastes and it takes away a business opportunity for me in China in 7 years, even though I'm not trying to zing, it's just things that I saw. What if I look down on my phone while I'm driving, even though I've really not done that, and I hit somebody and I kill them, and that becomes the story. And they're like, forget about the story about what you think of me. I will never recover from that because I killed somebody because I needed to check a tweet. These are moments in time. So there are so many things that can keep you from being successful, right? The people that you invested in, having something happen to them, so it slows you down. My friends, there are a million reasons why not, but there's one great reason why, which is you've just got to persevere, no matter what it is. It's just the way it is. It's hard being an entrepreneur. It's hard building a business. Everybody thinks it's so easy, that there's an entitlement. There's a disaster. Zinging China, here comes my US zing right now. There is an insane generation of 18 to 25-year-olds right now that think they're entitled to having a business because they saw the Social Network movie and everybody's decided if you're a kid and you know what tech is, because you used Instagram early on, you're entitled to actually build a business. Building a business is hard. And you know what makes it really hard? Everything that happens every day of every moment. So, you can pick time, you can pick money as the one or two things that you think stop you from winning your game, but the truth is, there's a million reasons. 99% of businesses go out of business for a reason, and that reason is it's hard. And so, if you're watching this show, I've got a sense of who you are, and you need to start creating layers and layers and layers and layers of skin to be able to get through, because the glamour of being an entrepreneur, the goodness, you get very confused by my optimism, because it's my optimism. I can't help it. It's just how I roll. It's probably one of the variable 1% reasons why I'm successful. But please, don't get it twisted. This is hard. Every day is hard. And if you don't have the stomach to weather the storm, you will not be successful. And by the way, let me throw you a real weird curveball, and that's okay. People have to look themselves in the mirror and understand if they're a number 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 in an organization that has differences of being a number 1, but maybe that's where your skill set sits. Maybe that's how you make your fortunes and happiness and all the things that you're looking for. And so that question got me going a little bit, Steve, because it's under the context of excuses, and I will never make an excuse. Everything that's a problem with me, everything I don't achieve, everything that's a problem at VaynerMedia, and everything is my fault. And I succumb to that, and I respect that, and I actually think that's the way it should be. And so, no excuses, my friends.
It's hugely important to me to maintain a certain energy. It's like it's healing, it's loving, it's kind, and I learned really young that my energy was infectious. Right? So when I come into the studio, long after I leave, the energy that I bring is still going to be here, and then people are going to take it home and they're going to affect their families with it. So for me, it's hugely important to maintain just positive, loving energy.
For me, success is freedom. Like, at the end of the day, I want freedom. Money's great, but money just gets us freedom, right? So I see a lot of my peers. In fact, a friend that I was doing business with a couple years ago, he said to me, he's like, Grant, you're the freest guy I know. This guy's extremely wealthy, worth multi-billions of dollars. He says, you, my friend, are the freest guy I know. I said, what do you mean by that? It just came out of nowhere. You say what we'd spent a lot of time together, and he's like, I've been with you now for about a month and a half. You say what you want, you do what you want. You know there's gonna be consequences. It's clear that you're consciously aware that you're saying something that's going to affect somebody. He's like, you're not stupid. You know what you're doing. I see you on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat. He didn't even know what most of these was. He says, I see you say what you want as often as you want, willing to make mistakes. She sees it too, right? So she knows that we go into an environment, and she's gotten even used to the fact that I'm going to have my opinion. I'm going to go research things that other people might find controversial. I'm going to dig into things that people are like saying no about.
You will cross the line.
So for me, it's about freedom. It's about, can I go where I want? Can I do business with who I want? This is what I've always wanted in my life. I want to go where I want. I don't want to be fixed in one spot. I want to be able to move.
Guilt is cancer. It will confine you, torture you, destroy you as an artist. It's a wall, it's a black hole, it's a thief. It'll keep you from you. Remember learning your first song or riff or writing your first lyric? There's no guilt then. Remember when there was no right or wrong? Remember that simple reward of just playing music? You are still and will always be that person at your core, the musician. And the musician comes first. Guilty pleasure. How about just pleasure? I can truthfully say out loud that Gangnam Style is one of my favorite songs of the past decade. It is. Is it any better or worse than the latest Atoms for Peace album? If only we had a celebrity panel of judges to determine that for us. What would J-Lo do? Paging Pitchfork. Come in, Pitchfork. We need you to help us determine the value of a song. Who cares? Who's to say what's a good voice and what's not a good voice? The voice? Imagine Bob Dylan standing there singing Blowin' in the Wind in front of Christina Aguilera. I think you sound a little nasally and sharp. It's your voice. Cherish it, respect it, nurture it, challenge it, stretch it, scream it until it's gone. Because everyone's blessed with at least that. And who knows how long it will last.
When you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. Albert Einstein once observed that you have the most fundamental and major decision that you have to make in your life is this: do I live in a friendly or a hostile universe? Which is it? Is it a universe that is filled with hostility and anger and people wanting to hate each other and people wanting to kill each other? Is that what you see? Because when you see the world that way, that's exactly what you will create for yourself in your life. This is from great scientific minds. And the interesting thing is that this is not just a clever play on words, that when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. It's actually a very scientific thing, and I'm going to show you that in just a moment. I'd like you to imagine the following scene. You're in your house. You've got your car keys in your hand. The lights go out. Power failure. You can't see a thing. You stumble around in your living room and you drop your keys. And you look around for a moment and you realize that you're never going to find them in the dark. But you look outside and you notice that the street lights are on. So in your mind, a light bulb goes off. I'm not going to sit around here in the dark and grope around looking for my keys when there's a light on outside. I'm going to go out here under the street light and I'm going to look for my keys. Why are you laughing? This makes a lot of sense. So you're out here and you're groping around and you're looking for your keys and you're looking and looking, and your neighbor comes along and says, "What happened, Wayne?" "Well, I dropped my keys." "Oh, I'll help you look for them." And the two of us are now down here looking for our keys and looking. Finally, he says to me, "Excuse me, but where did you drop your keys?" "Well, I dropped them in the house." He said, "You mean to tell me that you dropped your keys in the house and you're looking for them out here in the streetlight? Doesn't make any sense." And I said, "Well, it doesn't make any sense to grope around in the dark when there's light out here." Now you laugh and you think how silly that is, but isn't that exactly what we do when we have a problem, a difficulty, a struggle that is located inside and we're looking for the solution outside, someplace outside of ourselves? It would be like going to the doctor and telling him all of your symptoms, and the doctor says, "Oh boy, you've got a lot of symptoms." And he starts writing out prescriptions. You need a prescription for this symptom, you need a prescription for that symptom, and finally he gets this 4 or 5, and you go to walk out, and you say, "Well, I'd like my prescriptions." He said, No, I'll give this one to your mother-in-law, and I'll give this one to your neighbor, and I'll give this one to your daughter, and I'll give this one to your father. I mean, you're the one with the struggles and with the difficulties, and expecting somebody else to change or something outside of you to get better in order for you to make your life work at this level that I'm calling intention is something you have to really take a hard look at. It's in here.
I had no idea. I grew up in Pittsburgh. My dad did upholstery on cars, so if you got a rip in your car seat, you took it to him. My mom had odd jobs, from selling real estate to making baskets, and you know, I was just a normal kid, but I was always into business. From as long as I could remember, I was selling something or working on something, trying to make money, and it just got me excited to be a business person, and it just took off from there.
Ben Graham in his low teens looked around and he looked at the people he admired, And he said, you know, I want to be admired, so why don't I just behave like them? And he found there was nothing impossible about behaving like them. And similarly, he did the same thing on the reverse side in terms of getting rid of those qualities.
You got to get up, you got to get out. The amount of time you spend outside your proximity or location where you sleep gives you a better chance of being successful. So get up, get out. Go meet the world head on, folks, no matter how bad it is. Okay, you got reputation problems. You got I feel bad problems. You got friend problems, you got money problems, whatever the problems are. Okay? Try this. Just get up and get out and go meet the world head on. Go meet whatever it is, okay? You got to make up to somebody. You got to apologize for something you've done. You got to make up the damage of years of neglect and maybe betrayal. And look, I've done all that. I've had all those things where I screwed up over and over and over again. My reputation sucked. I was between the ages of 15 and 25 years old. It was like I was doing everything I could just to damage my reputation. Okay, if it made me look bad, I did it. So here today, I'm gonna spend 10 days, 14 days, something like that, up here with that view. You can fix anything. I'm proof that you can fix anything. Anything can be fixed. Anything can be fixed, but you gotta fix it. You gotta fix it. You can't just sweep it under the old rug. You gotta fix it. You gotta clean up the damage. You gotta pay the price, clean up your debts, do what you say you're gonna do, become the most dependable person in your space, become the go-to person. Oh, I can put that person on stage and know exactly what they're gonna get for me. I can put that person in the game and I know what play they're gonna run. I can put that person on the floor and I know they're gonna get it done. Be the go-to person. Okay, you don't need to be funny. You don't need to be entertaining all the time. You don't need to be the person they're talking about. You need to be the go-to person, folks.
You know, I think it's always part of life to have some knocks as well as some successes.
And to take risks.
And, you know, to learn. So I think it's healthy for everyone to lose a job as well as to gain a job.
I'm not Mr. Mentor. I'm not the one who says, let's sit down, tell me how it's going. I'm gonna tell you exactly how I am. Get off your ass and get out there and sell something.
That's right.
I mean, I've never been okay, I need a mentor. You know, a lot of people look for mentors thinking they're gonna tell me the shortcut. Mark, will you be my mentor? You know the way. And they think I'm gonna go, ooh, and like convey some magics. Here's the dust, go, go, go. It doesn't work that way. I still grind. I love to grind. If you're competing in one of my businesses, I'm gonna kick your ass because I'm gonna outgrind you, right? That's what being an entrepreneur is. You've got to get out there and do the work. So when it comes to how do you learn, right? Because that's the question, how do I learn this stuff? Man, everybody has got to go through that process. Right? I read I'm in the tech business, I'm in the media business, the entertainment business. I've got to try to prepare myself for all the Shark Tank businesses. I read 3 hours plus a day, right? While everybody else is getting a suntan, or even when I'm getting a suntan, I'm online or I've got books, I'm reading all I can.
We bought into this complete falsehood that at some point, you're gonna have the courage. At some point, you're gonna have the confidence. And it's total bullshit, frankly. Are we allowed to swear on this show?
Absolutely.
Okay. It's complete garbage. And so there are so many people in the world, and you know, you may be watching this right now, and you have these incredible ideas, and what you think is missing is motivation. And that's not true. Because the way that our minds are wired, and the fact about human beings is that we are not designed to do things that are uncomfortable or scary or difficult. Our brains are designed to protect us from those things because our brains are trying to keep us alive. And in order to change, in order to build a business, in order to be the best parent, the best spouse, to do all those things that you know you want to do with your life, with your work, with your dreams, you're going to have to do things that are difficult, uncertain, or scary. which sets up this problem for all of us. You're never going to feel like it. Motivation's garbage. You only feel motivated to do the things that are easy, right?
Why do you think that is?
Oh, I know exactly why that is. Because I've studied this so much, because for me, one of the hardest things to figure out was, why is it so hard to do the little things that would improve my life? And what I've come to realize, and what we'll talk a lot about today, is that the way that our minds are designed is our minds are designed to stop you at all costs from doing anything that might hurt you. And the way that this all happens is it all starts with something super subtle that none of us ever catch. And that is with this habit that all of us have that nobody's talking about. We all have a habit of hesitating. We have an idea, you're sitting in a meeting, you have this incredible idea, and instead of just, saying it, you stop and you hesitate. Now, what none of us realize is that when you hesitate, just that moment, that micro moment, that small hesitation, it sends a stress signal to your brain. It wakes your brain up, and your brain all of a sudden goes, oh, wait a minute, why is he hesitating? He didn't hesitate when he put on his killer spiky sneakers. He didn't hesitate with the really cool track pants. He didn't hesitate with the NASA t-shirt. Now he's hesitating to talk, something must be up. So then your brain goes to work to protect you. It has a million different ways to protect you. One of them is called the spotlight effect. It's a known phenomenon where your brain magnifies risk. Why? To pull you away from something that it perceives to be a problem. And so you can truly trace every single problem or complaint in your life to silence and hesitation. Those are decisions. And what I do, and what's changed my life, is waking up and realizing that motivation's garbage. I'm never gonna feel like doing the things that are tough or difficult or uncertain or scary or new. So I need to stop waiting until I feel like it. And number two, I am one decision away from a totally different marriage, a totally different life, a totally different job, a totally different income, a totally different relationship with my kids. Not like one decision, I'm divorcing you in the marriage example, but one decision on, you could be having a conversation with your spouse and you feel your emotions rise up, and within a tiny window, those emotions can take over and can impact how your marriage goes. Or you can learn how to take control of that micro moment and make a decision to act in a way that actually shifts your marriage. Your life comes down to your decisions, and if you change your decisions, you will change everything.
Well, Aristotle said that 95% of everything you do is the result of habit. So the rule is form good habits and make them your masters, rather than allowing bad habits to form. In fact, the other rule says this, is that good habits are hard to form, but easy to live with. Bad habits are easy to form, but hard to live with. Now, one of the turning points in my life and my studies of psychology was the discovery that all habits are learned and can be unlearned. Actually, you don't actually unlearn a habit, you simply replace a bad habit with a good habit that has more power and impact. And how do you develop a good habit? You develop a habit by repetition. Almost everything you do from the time you get up in the morning is habit. So start to think about yourself. What would be the best habits to have?
So this was something that Portia Nelson, who I knew, who passed away a few years back, 10 years back now. She lived up in Seattle. And she was at a seminar, and they were asked to write the autobiography of their life in five verses, 5 chapters. So, and they gave them only like cards this size. Actually, they were smaller than this. They were 3 by 5 cards. So write out chapter 1 of your life and just go to where you are today. And I remember doing this very same thing, but what she wrote was so brilliant that I asked her daughter if we could put it on public television, which I did on the most recent show, and we made a contribution to Portia's work. So this is what she wrote down in the chapter 5 of her life. Chapter 1. She said, I walk down the street. There's a deep hole in the sidewalk. I fall in. I'm lost. I'm helpless. It isn't my fault, and it takes forever to find a way out. Chapter 2 of my life. I walk down the same street. There's a deep hole in the sidewalk. I pretend I don't see it. I fall in again. I can't believe I'm in the same place. It isn't my fault. It still takes a long time for me to get out. Chapter 3 of my life. I walk down the same street. There's a deep hole in the sidewalk. I see it there. I still fall in. It's a habit. But my eyes are open. I know where I am, and it is my own fault, and I get out immediately. Chapter 4 of my life. I walk down the same street. There's a deep hole in the sidewalk. I walk around it. Chapter 5 of my life. Finally, I walk down another street.
If you draw hard lines in the sand, and eventually you realize that they're either unrealistic or people can't maintain them, you've set yourself up for failure.
What is that exactly, like drawing lines?
So it's like, no matter what, we will not.
Gotcha.
Blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, there's the line.
No matter what, we will win every single road march that we do as a fire team in this while we're here on this training thing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, guess what? That's hard. There's some other fire teams that are also want to win.
Mm-hmm.
And so you've drawn a hard line to sand. That's not really a good example. A good example is like, no matter what, we're going to muster every morning at 4:30 in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
No matter what. And, then the guys are out on patrol until 2:38 in the morning. And now the next morning, you're good no matter what. I said, no matter what. Well, it's not good for them. It's unrealistic. So you drew a hard line in the sand, and now you got to back it down. So, and all you have to do is soften the statement a little bit. Hey guys, to the best of our ability, if we can, we're going to get here every morning at 4:30 for muster. There's a little room to play there, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's fine. So, again, there's not a question here, but one of the reasons I think that I wanted to talk about it was because I think people look at me and even hear me on a peripheral level, and they think, oh, I bet Jocko just laid down the hard lines.
Sure.
And it's my way or the highway, right?
Yeah.
And the opposite is actually true. And the reason that I came to that conclusion was because I worked for leaders like that, and I hated working for leaders like that. So I tried to never be a leader like that.
In 1981, my brother was to go into the Red Army, and at the time, of course, they're fighting Afghanistan, right? Russia. And so in 1980, we escaped Armenia, which at the time was under communist rule, Russian rule, went into Italy, and my dad demands that I say this next part. We legally entered into the United States from Italy into New York, which is a very big thing.
Wow.
And so he worked his ass off, and I learned English, and we...
Amazing.
Yeah, we ate out of dumpsters. It was a typical rags to riches story, but I was the 6-year-old kid who... I thought it was fun crawling into the dumpsters,
It's an adventure for you.
Yeah. Little did I know, they're like, hey, get that lettuce. Hey, get that jug of milk. You got it. Here you go. I'm having a good time. And so it was a neat experience. And I said, hey, we're in a free country now. You can be anything you want. And I was stubborn enough to believe that I could become anything I want. And here I am.
Basically train for 3 hours a day and eat
a lot of protein.
A lot of food, and I actually got the diet from Dwayne, The Rock Johnson, who's a mate of mine. And
because I believe ambition is not a dirty word. It's just believing in yourself and your abilities. Imagine this. What would happen if we were all brave enough to believe in our own ability, to be a little bit more ambitious? I think the world would change.
People are just afraid, man. So many people are afraid of rejection, of failure. But without failure, you have no success. What stung the most, biggest failure, I had a TV show called The Big House, got picked up by ABC. They told me that we were going to do 12 episodes, flew me down to New York. This is the biggest news ever. I'm about to be rich. Holy shit, I'm 22. I got a TV show. I'm writing, executive producing, starring in the show. You know what? No, I'm not just gonna go down there by myself. We gotta bring the cast. They said, nope, Kevin, we only flying you. I said, well, I'm gonna pay for the cast to come. I took my own money, flew them all down to New York. Get to New York, put on my suit, people taking pictures of me walking out. This is the best thing ever. Holy shit, I'm famous. This is what it is. I get to the upfronts. Upfronts are where they announce your TV show. It's a slew of shows. They're announcing their time slots. I'm next. They're about to announce the big house. Somebody puts their hand on my chest and says, Kevin, wait. They talking to earpiece. They said, nope, I'm standing with him right now. I'm like, what's going on? What do they want me to do? You know, they want me to go on the other side or something. He goes, okay, I'll tell them. They canceled. They're not going to pick you up. You got to step back. And I was like, wait, that don't sound right. Literally that fast, they sent me home. They were like, you got to just go home. TV show got picked up 6 months later for 6 episodes. The 3rd episode's aired. They canceled the show again. I got the show canceled twice in a 6-month period, which has never been done before. I booked about 3 more pilots. Got canceled. There was a show called John Stamos' show. He was a publicist. And they wanted me as a series regular. The show was going great. Ratings were good. Put me on the show got canceled. It was everything I touched on TV. Turned to I'm now just sitting out here doing nothing. I ain't had no money. Borrowing money left and right. I decided to say, F it. I said, I'm just going to do stand-up comedy and focus on my craft. And I slaved the road for about 5 years, doing the same circuit over and over again.
So let's talk about Starbucks. Starbucks in 2008, very interesting thing happened, and many of you, if you were in the financial services market then, probably know this, that their net income decreased by about 28% that year. And at the time, they had 16,000 stores in 44 countries, and they had gone through this massive, explosive growth segment in terms of going public in, I think it was like 1992, they only had 125 stores, and now here we are, 2008, they've got 16,000. So what ends up happening is Howard Schultz, who was the chairman of the board, comes back in as the CEO. Very complex situation, right? You've got operations in 44 countries. You've got massive reduction in terms of the profits that you have. You've got the stock market and Wall Street screaming at you. You've got customers that are going to Dunkin' Donuts because there's a recession that's hitting. So what do? Well, he was very clear, again, back to the 2 rules. What do I stand for? Like, what am I doing? And what do I want the outcome to be? So he was very clear that what he stood for as a leader and what Starbucks should stand for is the Starbucks experience. He wanted to go back to the beginning and reintroduce people to the romance of having a cup of coffee. Because, you know, that's how Starbucks launched in the beginning, that he was traveling and was over in Italy and was like, God, why don't we have places like these great stops to have a little cup of coffee over in the United States? Boom, Starbucks, an idea, it's born, it's launched. So he decides he's going to do whatever he can to get the romance of having a cup of coffee back. In life, in any situation, whether you're talking about growing your company, growing your bank account, getting in a relationship, getting out of a relationship, getting something done at the school system that your kids are going to on behalf of your kids, whatever it is that you're up to in life, this is the only question that you need to ask yourself. Well, what is it that I want? Because the truth of the matter is, if you can answer that, you can have it.
Most people's will to win is for sale. It's for sale.
Most people's will
is for sale.
To win is for sale.
They can be bought. I can't be bought. So if we give you if we gave you just enough money, if there's a certain dollar amount, you'd stop working hard.
Wow,
we give you a title,
that.
you'd stop working hard. We give you a car or a plane or a house.
Dude, that's the book, bro. That's the book.
Is that the book? Yeah, that might be the book.
That is the book. Your will to win is for sale.
That's right. And I decided once I realized that, because I watch it happen with people in their body and their finances and their family and their faith, whatever it is, I'm not for sale. So there isn't a place you're going to buy me. You can't get me. There's not a stop, a place, a destination where you're going to get me to relent, to quit. I want to improve. That doesn't mean I don't struggle with my motivation from time to time. Doesn't mean I don't get confused or down. Of course I do, but I'm not for sale. You can't buy me. And you know this too. We see friends of ours, even guys in their 60s, said they sold their company for blah, blah, blah. Now they golf 9 days a week or whatever. You know, that's fine, but they're for sale. They were bought. You were bought. You were for sale. I'm not for sale.
I used to say that before I had children, I had 8 theories about how to raise children. And now I have 8 children. and no theories. All right? But one of the things I know about children is that no one likes being told what to do. And this isn't just children, this is all of us. One of my favorite songs is a song from when I was back in high school. Oh, give me land, lots of land, and the starry skies above. Boy, you know it. Don't fence me in. Don't restrict me. Don't put boundaries on me. Don't tell me what I can do and what I can't do. Don't tell me how to be there. Don't tell me what to wear, what to think. Don't tell me how to do yoga. Don't tell me, I don't want to be told. This is the soul speaking, always. The soul is constantly having a desire to expand and grow. And anything or anyone that comes into your life that attempts to do that, you will find yourself fighting it and reaching back.
If you're looking to instigate a change in your life, there's no better or worse time than right now. Hey, I understand. Change is scary. With the status quo, you know what you've got. If you shake things up, there's no telling what you might end up with. But two other things are true about change. One, it's absolutely necessary for personal growth, and two, it's gonna happen. Either you can pick the time to instigate the change you want, or the change and the time will pick you. So if you happen to be one of those people who's standing on the sidelines of your dreams, waiting for that perfect moment, if you want to make that change but you just don't know if you're ready, this life lesson is for you. It's time to stop digging your potatoes and jump.